ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ dára púpọ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ ló láyé táwa yìí sẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dẹni gíga ẹ̀kọ́ ló ń gbé ní dépò ọlá ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ̀dàkúnyé ẹ̀yin òbí wa bẹ́ẹ̀ lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa.
Wisdom comes not from age, but from education and learning. With this quote from Anton Chekhov, I welcome you all to another edition of this wonderful program on radio, Education Today. Education Today is a program that aims to call the attention of the public to education matters as they affect the effective running of the educational system and the achievement of educational goals. This comes on air every Saturday from 3 o'clock to 4 p.m. West African time on this station, Light Radio. Our goal is to educate, inform, orientate, and entertain the society on educational matters, address issues affecting the educational system, influence public opinion, and drive effective educational policy directions to guide the formulators and implementers. For your comments, questions, and contributions, you can reach us on Facebook via www.facebook.com/lightradio, on Twitter @The Light Radio, on Instagram light_radio, on YouTube Light Space Radio. Don't forget you can also call or send a message to us via SMS or WhatsApp on 0809-738-4000. Again, 0809-738-4000. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us. If you just joined in, you are listening to Education Today on Light Radio. First, we kick off with the news. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the news on Education Today, reaching you live from Light Radio. I am Nima Ibrahim. First, the headlines. Lagos Tutor emerges 2023 Multina Teacher of the Year. NUC approves 14 programs for transportation varsity. Dara takeoff. Reps reject motion to make JAMB, WAEC, NECO examinations free. And on the foreign scene, Afghanistan girls education activist Matiula Wesa has been released by Taliban. Now the details. Adiola Adeduke Adefemi of Keke Senior High School, Agege, Lagos, has emerged winner of the 2023 Multina Teacher of the Year competition. Adefemi was rewarded with a cash prize of 6.5 million naira and an all-expense-paid capacity development training in the United Kingdom. In addition, the sponsors will also build either a fully equipped computer laboratory or a 6-classroom block worth 20 million naira for her school. Azu Chike of Azemu Girls Grammar School, Delta State, also emerged the first runner-up with a cash prize of 1.5 million naira, while Adam Abdulkadir Indi of Model Science College, Niger State, emerged second runner-up with 1.25 million cash prize, as well as 27 other teachers who emerged as state champions from their respective states also received 500,000 naira each. In his goodwill message, the Minister of State for Education, just Dr. Yusuf Sununu, said efforts are on to bring back the glorious days of teachers in the country. He also noted that a new national teaching policy developed by the Federal Ministry of Education in collaboration with stakeholders addresses the career path, remuneration, teaching standards, qualification, capacity development, and other vital issues to revitalize the teaching profession. Lastly, the Corporate Affairs Director, Nigerian Breweries PLC, Shade Morgan, commended stakeholders for their support, particularly the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, TRCN, which gave the company access to its database of verified teachers. The Chairman Board of Directors, Nigerian Breweries PLC, Asu Igodalu, also in his keynote address, said the competition was an opportunity to recognize the magnificent roles of teachers and support them. The Federal University of Transportation, Daura, located in Katsina State, has received the nod from the National Universities Commission (NUC) for the commencement of 14 key programs, as confirmed by the institution's pioneer Vice-Chancellor, Professor Umar Adam Kasayal. The approval came following the recent visit of the NUC Resource Verification Team to the university. In a letter dated October 18, 2023, addressed to the Vice-Chancellor and signed by the Acting Director of Academic Planning, Abubakar Gire, the Commission announced the green light for the establishment of full-time mode programs at the university's main campus, effective from the 2023-2024 session. The approved programs include Bachelor of Engineering in Civil Engineering, Electrical Electronics Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, Mechatronics Engineering, as well as Bachelor of Science in Aviation Management, Transport Management, Railway Transport Management, among others. However, the letter emphasized that the approval does not extend to part-time delivery of the programs and that any changes to the program's titles would require the Commission's approval. Recall that the NUC conducted a resource verification exercise on October 12, 2023 to assess the available human and material resources for the university's commencement. The recently established institution has been named after the former president of the country, Muhammad Buhari University of Transportation, Daura. The House of Representatives on Thursday has rejected a motion urging the federal government to declare the 2023 and 2024 WAEC, NECO, and JAMB examinations free for all students so people can directly benefit from the fuel subsidy removal palliatives. The House also rejected an amendment to the motion proposed by Honorable Julius Inyovbare representing APC Edo, asking lawmakers to lead by example by adopting at least one school each in their constituency and pay either the WAEC or NECO fees of those students. Although Honorable Inyovbare's position was supported by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, who argued that some lawmakers are already doing that. However, Honorable Hassan Ado-Doguwa warned against adopting the motion, saying it could put the lawmakers in trouble. In his own contribution, Honorable Awaji Inombek Abiante warned against adopting the motion because the House cannot give what it does not have, adding that it would be discriminatory to ask members to choose one school from their constituency and take care of the examination fees. He then asked the House to either step down the motion or throw it out completely, as the Parliament lacks the power to ensure compliance with its prayers. After his investiture as the Chancellor of Augustine University, Ilara Ekpe, AUI, Lagos State, Mr. Femi Otedola has announced on Thursday a 1 million naira scholarship for each student of the institution regarding the payment of their tuition fees for the 2023-2024 academic session. The award will cover all the 500 returning students of the institution and the 250 new intakes for the next session. Besides, the business mogul announced a donation of 140 million naira towards the furnishing of the completed engineering faculty it donated to the university, as well as a donation of 110 million naira for the installation of street lights on the campus. Speaking during the event, Otedola thanked God for empowering him to help in the development of the university and to help the multitude of students of the university. Meanwhile, the Pro-Chancellor of the university, Chief Gilbert Grant, described the Otedola family as one of the backbones of the university, just as he charged the graduating students to be good ambassadors of the institution and to put to good use all the virtues inculcated in them during the academic programs. And lastly, the Vice-Chancellor AUI, Professor Christopher Odetunde, also lauded Otedola for the support he had given to the university since its inception, disclosing that following approval by the National Universities Commission, the institution would start postgraduate programs in some courses as of the next session. And on the foreign scene, Afghanistan rights campaigner who advocated for girls' inclusion in education has been released on Thursday by Taliban authorities after 7 months in jail. Matiullah Wessa, who traveled the country campaigning for girls to have access to education, was arrested in March for propaganda against the government. The UN's top expert on human rights in Afghanistan, Richard Bennett, welcomed Wessa's release but highlighted the plight of hundreds of other activists targeted by the Taliban. Wessa, the founder of the non-profit organization Pen Path, had made promoting access to education his mission for more than a decade, visiting rural villages to help revive schools shuttered by violence and to open libraries. Wessa has pledged to continue these efforts after the Taliban took over Kabul in 2021 and enforced harsh restrictions on girls and women, including banning them from schools, parks and gyms, and pushing them out of government jobs. That's all for the news, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. Lagos Tutor emerges 2023 Multina Teacher of the Year. NUC approves 14 programs for transportation varsity. Reps reject motion to make JAMB, WAEC, NECO examinations free. And on the foreign scene, Afghanistan girls education activist released by Taliban. That's all on the news for today. It was compiled by Nima Ibrahim and edited by OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Don't forget, for the coverage of your educational seminars, trainings, fairs, competitions, among others, you can call us on 0702-507-4268 or you can send us an email via educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. The program will be back shortly. Welcome back. If you just joined in, you are still listening to Education Today on Light Radio. Right now, we take the Junior segment with Mr. KAZEEM. Good afternoon, Mr. KAZEEM.
Good afternoon, Nima. It's a pleasure to be here. Good afternoon and welcome to the Gino segment of Education Today, where we consider random ideas, thoughts, personalities, events, concepts, and celebrations that many people are unaware of. The objective is to broaden our horizon and increase our base knowledge of things around us beyond what is taught in schools and classes. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Today I want to talk about the UN Charter. Did you know the UN Charter? The Charter of the United Nations, UN, is the foundational treaty of the United Nations, an intergovernmental organization. It establishes the purposes, governing structure, and overall framework of the UN system, including its 6 principal organs, that is, the Secretariat, the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and Social Council, the International Court of Justice, and the Trusteeship Council. The UN Charter mandates the UN and its member states to maintain international peace and security, uphold international law, achieve higher standards of living for their citizens, address economic, social, health and related problems, and promote universal respect for and observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. As a charter and constituent treaty, its rules and obligations are binding on all members and supersede those of other treaties. During the Second World War, the Allied forces, the Allies, formerly known as the United Nations, agreed to establish a new post-war international organization. Pursuant to this goal, the UN Charter was discussed, prepared, and drafted during the San Francisco Conference that began 25th April 1945, which involved most of the world's sovereign nations. Following two-thirds approval of each part, the final text was unanimously adopted by delegates and opened for signature on 26 June 1945. It was signed in San Francisco, United States by 50 of the 51 original member countries. The charter entered into force on 24th October 1945, following ratification by the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council, that is, China, France, the Soviet Union, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and the majority of other signatories. This is considered the official starting date of the United Nations, with the first session of the General Assembly representing all 51 initial members opening in London the following January. The General Assembly formally recognized 24 October as United Nations Day in 1947 and declared it an official international holiday in 1971. With 193 parties, most countries have now ratified the Charter. The Charter consists of a preamble and 111 articles grouped into 19 chapters. The preamble consists of 2 principal parts. The first part contains a general call for the maintenance of peace and international security and respect for human rights. The second part of the preamble is a declaration in a contractual style that the governments of the peoples of the United Nations have agreed to the Charter, and it is the first international document regarding human rights. Now you know. That's all on the Did You Know segment for this week. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues shortly. Please stay with us.
Ọmọ tí kò bá ẹ̀kọ́ ó dáni lójú pé yóò jìyà iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa iṣẹ́ burúkú ni wọ́n ń ṣe tí wọ́n bá jalè wọ́n wá tún fọ́lé ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa lẹ́bàá lówó kẹjọ kẹtọ́ wa ẹ̀dá kò yé ẹ̀yin òbí wa. Deba lowo kẹjọ kẹtọ wa.
That was the Did You Know segment. Right now, we'll take the International Day segment. Please stay with us.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the International Day segment of Education Today, where we'll take a look at different days marked by the United Nations to commemorate different aspects of our lives as global citizens. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Today, we'll be taking a look at the United Nations Day itself, commemorated every October 24. United Nations Day on 24 October marks the anniversary of the entry into force in 1945 of the UN Charter. With the ratification of this founding document by the majority of its signatories, including 5 permanent members of the Security Council, the United Nations officially came into being. UN Day, celebrated every year, offers the opportunity to amplify our common agenda and reaffirm the purposes and principles of the UN Charter that have guided us for the past 78 years. The United Nations acts as a pioneer for international peace and promotes the idea of a fairer world to make the globe a better place to live in. The organization was established in 1945 and completed its 78th anniversary this year. United Nations Day is an important observance that is celebrated annually on October 24, marking the adoption of the United Nations Charter in the year 1945. This basic document sets the foundation of the United Nations and gives hope to people across the globe who wish they will be united and peaceful. Thus, the UN serves as the last hope for unity in the world that has immeasurable legitimacy, convening power and normative influence. The United Nations Conference on International Organization was held in San Francisco in 1945 by representatives of about 50 nations. They were tasked to draw up the United Nations Charter, and it was adopted by the signatories. 5 out of the 10 permanent UN Security Council members, that is, the US, the UK, USSR, China, and France. When the agreement was signed by a majority, the United Nations assumed operations. Since then, the UN has been central to the process of international cooperation, peace, and development. It acts as a catalyst in the transformation advocating for human rights, freedom, and justice. Franklin D. Roosevelt coined the name United Nations during World War II. 26 nations united to pledge their government to continue fighting against the Axis powers. In 1945, delegates from 51 countries drew up the United Nations Charter in San Francisco, California. They signed the charter on June 26, 1945, and it was ratified on October 24, 1945. In 1947, the United Nations General Assembly, recognizing the importance of this day, declared that United Nations Day should be devoted to raising awareness of the organization's goals and achievements. This decision aimed to gain support for the United Nations' vital work on a global scale. Over the years, the celebration of this day has grown and evolved to include people from all walks of life. One of the UN's significant achievements is its role in peacekeeping, with a budget that represents a fraction of the global military spending. The United Nations also stands as a beacon of hope, delivering assistance to millions of people in need. Its World Food Program ensures food and aid reach 91 million people in 83 countries, while it provides vaccines to nearly half of the world's children. The organization plays a pivotal role in aiding those displaced by violence, conflict, and persecution. Moreover, the UN champions human rights and established international law through the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. It continues to shape the global agenda, addressing critical issues such as climate change, poverty, and inequality. Today, the United Nations consists of 193 member states and 2 observer states. In 1971, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a further resolution, that is UN Resolution 2782, declaring that United Nations Day shall be an international observance or international holiday, and recommended that it should be observed as a public holiday by United Nations member states. Several international schools throughout the world would also celebrate the diversity of their student body on United Nations Day, although the event is not necessarily celebrated on 24th October. Celebrations often include a show of cultural performances in the evening and a food fair where food is available from all over the world. That's it on the International Day segment for this week. I am OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Education Today continues in a moment. Please stay with us.
You are still on to Education Today on Light Radio, and right now we are moving into the discourse segment, and our guest has been here with us. Today we are discussing teacher shortages in the educational system, causes, effects, and solutions. The topic once again is the teacher shortages in the Nigerian educational system. What are the causes, effects, and solutions? The educational system in Nigeria and by extension the whole world is experiencing shortage in the quantity and quality of teachers. Many schools now lack the full complement of its teaching staff, with many classes being left without a teacher. This situation became compounded following the COVID-19 pandemic. Even in the UK, the Educational Department opened its doors to qualified teachers from the whole world to fill vacancies left since the pandemic. In Nigeria today, many people are not interested in the profession, while many of those already in are looking for alternatives and others are frustrated on the job. What effect does this situation have on the educational system and the Nigerian society as a whole? How can the government arrest this situation? These are some of the poses we seek answers to on the program this week. Joining us on the program today is our in-house analyst, an educational consultant, researcher, and lecturer at the University of Lagos, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM. Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you,
again.
as always.
As always.
Don't forget you can be part of the discourse by sending your comments and questions to 0809 738 4000, or you can drop your comments via the live video feeds on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, so before moving into the discourse proper, our short quiz question for today is: mention the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Again, mention the 5 permanent members of the United Nations Security Council. Send your answer to the WhatsApp number 0809 738 4000, 0809 738 4000, or you can drop it as a comment under our Facebook or YouTube live feed. Don't forget, the first correct answer wins the prize. Now, without much ado, let's dive in. So, my question now is, how do you describe this concept of a teacher shortage? And do we really have this, this challenge as we speak?
When we talk about teacher shortage, we're talking about the fact that schools lack the full complement of their teaching staff.
Okay.
A school should have, not just class teachers, subject teachers. In some cases, you have subject teachers separate from the class teachers.
Yes.
And in some cases, you have probably each class ordinarily should have probably 2 teachers. So probably as one is teaching, another one is actually taking care of the kids and things like that. So the whole responsibility does not just fall on one person. But even in some cases, now, so the idea of teacher shortages, but also you also look at the specification, the policy specification in terms of class size. So if ordinarily, like our educational system, at the pre-primary level, one teacher should be responsible for about 25 students.
Yes.
So a situation where you now have probably 100 students in the school, so it means that you should not have anything less than 4 teachers.
Yes, that's true.
Now, but in a station, probably you now have 3 teachers. There is a shortage of 1 teacher. Or probably you now have as much as 100 students and only have just 2 teachers. So by the time you now graduate that, probably to the primary school level, where the class size is supposed to be 1 to 35, and in the secondary school 1 to 40 pupils. Now, so you look at that and you compare, looking at the size, the number of students and the number of teachers that you have. Where you have is where based on that policy, we cannot maintain such a class size. Then you talk about probably teacher shortage, where you have more students than the normal complement of teachers that should be responsible to them. That is an issue of teacher shortage. Or probably by the time you also look at some of the basic class, or the classes that you have, where probably there are some classes without teachers, or probably one teacher is now being responsible for 2 classes simultaneously. Quickly go to this class, give them one work just to keep them busy. You move back to one class like that. So you see, God bless you. So it's not just me saying it, because it's the reality. So you have that. Or probably in a situation where there are some critical subjects that you don't have teachers for. be it public school, be it private schools. Let me give you an instance. A situation where I remember when I was in secondary school, there was a time, for about 3 different times, we actually did not have a physics teacher in senior secondary school.
SS level.
Yeah.
Wow.
Science class for that matter. And it's only just one arm or science class that we have for each level. When we're in SS1, it was just SS1A. When we're in SS2, it was just SS2A. When we're in SS3, it was just SS3A. Now, for about 3 different terms, although not consecutively, we were left without a physics teacher. And this, I'm talking about something around 26 years ago.
Wow.
25, 26 years ago. All right. So now, if the situation now remains now, in fact, most time, in fact, looking at the reality of what we have now, we have many teachers, that the number of teachers that you have cannot compare to the number of students that we have.
Sure.
So that is a reflection of teacher shortage. If you probably also go to many schools, you also see them always, having this permanent board outside, vacancy, vacancy, teacher in so subject should apply. Every now and then, I have probably 3, 4, 5 times in a single term where schools will actually put vacancies at the front of, the gate, requesting teachers. That is a manifestation of the fact that truly we don't have enough teachers.
This thing is happening.
It is real. It's not something probably that is just imagined.
Okay, so thank you for providing the backdrop to the question. So my next question would be, what do you think are the causes of this shortage? Is it that schools are not producing enough, qualified personnel, or is it that schools are not employing enough?
It could be either of the two, or even more beyond that.
Beyond it.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the case of when we say our schools not producing enough, we have many colleges of education, we have many universities that have faculties of education that are producing teachers. So it's not as if probably the institutions are not producing teachers.
Okay.
But the reality is, of the number of students that graduate in these institutions, probably from the colleges of education, from the faculties of education in our universities, how many eventually get absorbed into the system, into the teaching profession? Now, how many of those that graduate really have the quality
Exactly
that
I was going to
schools
ask
need?
that. Yes.
Then, of those that actually graduate, how many of them, for instance, probably in the public schools, how many of them are actually being employed? Let me give you an instance. You see, government will play this politics. Yeah, we have recruited 1,000 teachers. Oh, kudos to the governor, and the governor will go around as if he has done the best thing after bread and butter. Now, the reality is, for instance, you recruited 1,000 teachers. Is that the number that the educational system truly requires?
Okay.
Now, you have a situation where many teachers are retiring because ordinarily there should be systematic replacement of retiring teachers by the recruitment of new ones. But most times,
true.
these government officials or, these governors or, commissioners of education or whatsoever, they place embargo on recruitment of teachers. So you now have a generational gap between those that are there, that probably become senior teachers, and those that are just supposed to come in afresh. Such that at the end of the day, at a particular time, in fact, let me give an instance of Lagos State. In the last 5-6 years, thousands of teachers have actually retired. But the number of people that have been recruited is not commensurate with the number of those that have actually left the system through retirement. So we are not replacing adequately. When ordinarily, even before those guys retired, many of them, the schools don't even have the full complement.
Yes.
So
True.
you now have a situation where many now retire and you're not even replaced adequately. So it would only worsen the situation. Now, so that is that. Then you also have a situation where even for some school proprietors, especially for private schools now, in trying to minimize their costs and maximize their profits, they reduce the number of teachers ordinarily that should be employed in the school, and they give one teacher multiple subjects to handle. So as a teacher, you're the physics teacher, you are the basic science teacher, you are the basic technology and they just merge different things, teach everything.
And you're getting paid for just
one. You are just one teacher. Now the same teacher might just be one or two English teacher for the whole school.
Junior secondary and
senior secondary school all join.
It's that worse in some cases.
So as you're teaching language, you're also teaching literature. So you're teaching all levels, or probably a situation where, okay, you take senior class, you take junior class. So regardless of the number of arms that you have, when ordinarily in some schools, let me give you an instance, what you have in probably some of these unity schools in the past, I don't know of the current situation because it's been a while that I've actually interacted with people in the unity schools. Then there are, specialists within a single subject. Let me give you an instance. Then, if I even as a student, when I was in a private school as a primary school student at a particular point in time in my life, you have different. So we don't just do English language. You have English composition is one subject.
Wow.
Yeah. English comprehension, another subject. English literature is another subject. So you divide at the primary school level then.
Wow.
So you now have, in these unity schools, they have such that the teacher that takes oral English is different from the teacher that takes the lexis and structure aspect. It's different from the teacher that handles the aspect of comprehension and all that. It's different from the one that handles, the one of composition where you write essay and everything. So different teachers with that specialization. So that at the end of the day, for each one they teach you, you would know that yes, you're actually being taught. Now imagine that just for one subject, multiple teachers just for one subject. Not to now talk of a situation where you now have a school where one teacher will now take more than one subject. I'm not even talking about different aspects of a single subject. So the same teacher that takes basic technology is the one that takes technical drawing, is the one that you also say, after you should also know further maths now. Also take further maths. You'll be the one that will take applied electricity, but not that, everything all join. Just to one teacher. So at the end of the day, you would see that schools are also not employing enough because they're trying to cut costs. Now, minus that, it's also the fact that we have many teachers that are actually frustrated with the system. So a lot of people are actually leaving the profession. That became amplified during the period of COVID, when many schools could not actually meet up. Schools were not in session. Yes. A lot of them could not actually move to the virtual platform. Now, for some schools, the teachers were just there. The schools cannot pay them salary, and they could not secure jobs because everybody probably was just at home. So they could not have anything to feed their families. So a lot of them started thinking, what do I do? I just have to survive. I just have to feed my family members. So a lot of them started thinking of some other things they could do. That opened their eyes to some other opportunities. Wow, so I have just been cheating myself all this while. So some of them, what they made with the side hustles they discovered during the period of the pandemic was more rewarding than what they get from their full-time job as a teacher. When you go from morning and you return in the night, you're tired and you cannot even do any other thing. Full-time job. And what you just got from side hustle of probably just some few hours is more rewarding than what you're getting from your full job. So at the end of the day, a lot of them just felt that, wow, then I can't. When the pandemic was over and the lockdown was relaxed and things like schools came back, many teachers did not return. So you also look at the conditions of work, you look at the conditions of service, how much are they being paid?
Yes.
Then what exactly is even the prestige that people are attached? You now have a station where ask your students, ask your younger ones, how many of you want to become a teacher? They'll say never. Why? Teachers don't have money. So wait. It's not funny because when you have such mentality among the younger ones, the implication is the current crop of teachers don't have people that replace them.
Yes, that's true.
So it means there is no future for the profession. So these are the different factors that one way or the other have been responsible for it. Then minus the fact that some of them are even now traveling out of the country, or some going to other sectors, other professions within the same Nigerian economy. Everybody has now gone into the world of IT. So everybody wants to be an IT guru. So I'll be making money online virtually and be collecting
Getting
dollars.
paid in dollars.
So God bless you. So now all these have culminated in having a situation where there are shortages of teachers in the school system.
Wow. Indeed, the teacher shortage syndrome, what should I call it? It's not a pandemic actually, because as it affects the private schools, the public are not left out
Absolutely.
as well. So do you think this is a seasonal thing? Do you think there's a particular time of the year where this is more rampant,
Pronounced.
or is it something like a perennial challenge in our educational system?
It has been a perennial challenge with the educational system. They usually gets more pronounced, especially at the end of the session.
Okay.
So between the period of the end of a session and the resumption of a new session, many leave in droves, such that you have some school proprietors that will not pay teachers the salary of the last month of the third term, the end of the session. They will tell you that you will not be paid until you would also have to come for summer coaching. I don't know where we got summer when we don't even have summer in Nigeria. Now, so you also know you would come for summer. At the end of the day, now amass everything for you by the time the school resumes. So if you resume with them, that's when you get your money.
paid.
If you don't resume, no pay for you.
Wow.
So trying to just hold them by the money. But some people have already got wind of some of those. So for some of them, they will not even wait. Don't worry, you just want to tie me down with this.
You can have your
You
money.
can have it. They would go. At the end of the day, when they secure another job, when the school resumes, they now come back and come and claim their money. I have worked, so you have to pay me.
Yes.
It was a period of holiday. I'm not duty bound for me to come for summer. I have some other things that I do. So it happens.
So you think that it is more of a perennial challenge?
It's a perennial thing because it has actually been it's not just something that happened during COVID and probably went away.
Yes.
No, it's been consistent, but it became more pronounced during during the period of COVID and after COVID, and we've not recovered since then. In fact, many schools actually closed because of COVID, and a lot of proprietors did not even go back into school business again.
Wow. Okay, so this particular, let me call it a syndrome now. Is this situation peculiar to the Nigerian society only, or is it a global phenomenon?
Well, it's not peculiar to Nigeria. It's more pronounced in Nigeria.
More pronounced.
More pronounced in Nigeria because of our disposition towards education. In some other countries, actually, many people are just going to actually go into teaching profession because it's one of the highest paying jobs that you have out there because of the value attached to the teaching profession. The only thing is just that you need to be at your best before you can get recruited. Here we have turned teaching to actually the job for those that are frustrated in their professions or in their career ambitions. They are those that actually resort to teaching. I studied to engineering in school and I did not probably get a job. Let me go and be teaching for that maths and physics. So that penny when I now get the kind of job that I want. So teaching is now seen as a stepping stone.
Second alternative.
You also have a situation where, ordinarily when people seek admission to study different courses and they don't probably get to meet with the cutoff, what do? We divert them, we bring them to education when they don't really have that mind. So they become frustrated, and at the end of the day, so that's why you also have a situation where people are just graduating, they are getting the certificate, they are not ready to practice.
Yes.
So you have that. So, but for the fact that it is not, for you to know it's not peculiar to Nigeria, United Kingdom 3 openings early this year.
Yes, that's true.
The advert was released late last year, and it was commenced early this year. Many Nigerians have actually gone to the United Kingdom to take advantage of that opportunity. If there is no shortage in the United Kingdom, they won't do that. They now threw that opportunity open to everybody in the world. And majority of those who they know would actually lash on to that opportunity, Nigerians and Indians. So that is it. So it shows quite well that they also have shortage within their own system there. So it's not something that's just peculiar to Nigeria.
It's not a country thing. It's something that should be tackled headlong, and
across the globe.
All the courses should be tackled so that we can have an abundance of teachers to teach in our schools. Okay, so what could be the effect of, we've talked about the courses, the whys of it. So now, what do you think the effects could be, and how can we, handle the situation?
Well, talking about the effect, the reality is that it puts a whole lot of pressure on the existing number of teachers that we have in the education. So the workload is just too much, and that's why teachers are overworked. A lot of them, go and ask them. They complain a lot that the workload is just too much. Because the work that should be, handled by many people is not just being handled by few people. So that puts the workload on them. Apart from that, it affects their effectiveness. Yeah. Because they really kind of focus attention, give individual attention to each of the students. Because a lot of times too, as you are trying to do that, you also have curriculum that you have to cover. You have a time frame that you have to do that. You have, apart from that, it's the same teacher that also handles sports, the same teacher that handles extracurricular activity, same teacher that sets exams, same teacher that marks notes, same teacher that marks exams, the same teacher that does recording, that, all that, fill different record books, go on errands for the school, go and represent them on one training or one program and things like that, attend to parents. So the same set of teachers. So the workload is too much. So it affects their primary responsibility, especially towards the students themselves. And when that happens, it affects the learning of the students. So at the end of the day, you have a situation where students go to school but they don't learn. Teachers teach, but unfortunately, they are not effective. And many teachers are not effective and students are not learning. Of what use is the educational system? The educational system will not be able to achieve its goals. And that's something that is actually very, very inside. And that's why you have a lot of people that you ask yourself, did these ones go to school? How did you manage to get to this class? Because at the end of the day, we now start to deceive ourselves. We just package these students. Because if they tell you that your child is not performing well and probably your child has to repeat the class, what do? Take your child away from that school. And proprietors don't want to lose such money. But at the end of the day, this child will not fail. Even in public school, government does it and victimizes teachers. Because at the end of the day, they must not fail. If they fail, they automatically are not doing your job. So it's the fault of you, teachers. So at the end of the day, because they know government too will not also want to see failure. So what do? Everybody just starts deceiving themselves. So teachers will deceive government will deceive the teachers. And at the end of the day, so the parents also like deception.
No one wants to
bear the brunt. No one wants to, take the blame for it. So at the end of the day, that's what, happens when we have, such issues. Now, as regards how do we address this matter?
Yes.
We need a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
The government needs to be serious. The teachers need to face the reality. The society itself, the parents, school proprietors, really need to sit ourselves and ask ourselves, what exactly do we want? What kind of education do we want? The kind of ways by which we manage our educational system, do we think we can get the best out of it with the way we are managing this educational system? A government that continues to deceive people in the name of free education, and you're not getting enough teachers, you're not fixing the facilities in the schools for teachers to work with. Do you think teachers will perform magic? Now, when teachers give you a true assessment of what is going on within the educational system, are you ready to receive it? Or are you ready that, oh no, then it has to be the fault of teachers. They are not doing their job. So probably you sack them, or you should not pay them their salaries. So at the end of the day, what do you have? A situation where they will also continue to deceive you. And we know quite well, because this government, they know the reality, and that's why they will never bring their children to the schools.
Yes, that's a
so
case.
It shows that we are just deceiving ourselves. So for us to really address it, first is, let us ensure that our institutions churn out the best quality of graduates.
It starts from there.
It starts from there. What quality of training do we give our teachers? Then again, we should have teachers that are passionate, people that are passionate about this profession come in directly. Not those who actually failed in their career ambitions somewhere else, and you give education as, a consolation prize, consolation admission. Giving education as consolation admission in our tertiary institutions should stop henceforth. So that we can have those who are really passionate about education come into, the program and get trained. And when they train, let us also encourage them. See, former President Buhari promised bursary for education students. It remained where he said it, and he did not implement it till he left. This government did not even look at it. And you want people to be encouraged to come into education. Let us look at what is the quality of environment where teachers work, so that at the end of the environment is conducive for them to work, for them to teach, and for students to learn. Let us look at the conditions of service. How much are we paying them? Is it something that we ourselves will be proud of as a profession? Do you think that can attract the best of hands, the most brilliant minds? Do you think that can happen with what we are giving them currently? The meager salary that even some landlords will tell you, I don't actually give my house to teachers because I know they cannot pay. They don't have money to pay. At the end of the day, they will beg you. When they start, they pay the first year rent, and beyond that, they start having issues. So you think anyone would see that and would say, that is the kind of profession I want my child to go into? So we need to look at that critically. Then again, if you look at it, let us also put some other incentives around the school, where probably some special awards, some other things like that. Now you see people, go for this, and they will tell you this award of the year. At least we thank God that some other NGOs, some other philanthropists, and organizations are coming in now to assist. In that regard, you hear of this teacher of the year award, this and that. We need more of that. So it's not just something. Look at NLNG, what NLNG is doing for book writers.
Yes.
Now, can we think of that for teachers? Can we think of that for teachers? So that at the end of the day, they themselves can be proud of this particular profession. And their students will also wish that I want to be like this kind of person. So I feel that we really need to look at all this so that at the end of the day, we can retain the best of hands. See, the reality is, the environment is not conducive. That's why some people are living. And the environment is also not conducive. That's why we're also not attracting the best. It's only the self. And those that are left behind are those that are frustrated. Those who feel like, I think my brain, I'm too good. The next thing they tell you, I'm too good to be here. Does it make sense? If you think you are too good, then you should be here so that you can produce more good people like yourself. But the reality is it like that? Because there is no encouragement. There is no motivation for them to stay behind. So we really need to look at that.
All right, and the teaching profession is a noble profession, and we hope the government and all important stakeholders are taking this into consideration. So now, in recent times, we've been hearing of teachers crying out for them to extend their retirement age and or the service years. What do you think about that, or do you think that has any effect to what is on ground?
It's a very terrible policy.
Wow.
If we yield to such demands, it's because we have restricted our teachers to just this salary, because the salary is not paying enough. So you just feel like at all I ain't bad. So let me just remain here.
Yes.
The reality is, okay, currently what we have is 35 years of service,
60 years of
or
age.
60 years of age, the one that comes first. That is what would determine when you retire from service. Now, when that happened in the past, you had teachers that were as young as 20, 21, 22, getting employed into the profession. So they could have, someone probably that gets to the job at the rate of 22, can spend 35 years and will still not be 60 years.
Okay.
Now, you're talking about the fact that at that time when they are about to retire, a lot of them retire as principals because they would have grown, they have risen through the ranks. The reality is, at that time, how many of them are actually in class? At the point of retirement, how many of them are actually classroom teachers, truly?
Still active.
How many of them are really active? So if you now extend it, so what would happen? You're only extending the number of years that you have for people that will serve as principals. And those coming after them will continue to complain because this one cannot retire early enough.
Yes.
So the next thing is they get frustrated too. So let us not yield to it. It doesn't make sense. Ordinarily, why should anyone think of dying in service?
Profession.
No, it doesn't make sense. There's nothing stopping people from probably saying, okay, I want to retire at 55 so that I can probably go into consultancy, or I can probably do some other things that I find, a passion in. But do we have to remain till 60, 65? So you want us to now say teachers should retire at 65 or 40 years of service? Are you looking at the implication on unemployment in the society? We are talking about the fact that we have many youths that are unemployed. And you are now extending service years for those that have been there for over 30 years, 35 years. It doesn't make any sense. And it is also not in the best interest of those teachers. It's just because we really not made them see the fact that that is not the best thing for them. Let them think of some other things. So let them, if we have proper planning, adequate pay and proper pension packages for them.
I think that's the point.
See, the reality is someone will serve for 4 years and will be getting pension for life. And someone will serve 35 years and be crying
to get his dues.
And what do you even give them as pension? Peanuts. Imagine someone being paid 40,000 as monthly pension after serving government for over 35 years. And someone would only serve for 4 years and will have house, fleet of cars for life, and they will be getting that every 4 years replaced. Are we not criminal in this country? No, that's the reality. We have criminally minded leaders. In fact, they are not even leaders, they are rulers. Political jobbers who are actually ruling us. That's the reality. It's criminal that you now take care of such people and you see people queuing just because they want to get pension.
Something
That becomes nothing with the level of inflation that we have in the markets now, in the economy. So, see, these are things. So, extending the years in service is not in the best interest. It will worsen unemployment. Okay. And you have teachers that already they are weak. They are not agile. They don't have the energy again, and they are still in service. They will still be there because they'll be, waiting for when it will. They will just be counting their years, waiting when it will clock 65 years or spend 40 years in service before they now retire. So it doesn't. At that time, they will not be useful to themselves again.
Yes, that's just the sad reality.
And that's not good enough. So when would they now enjoy the benefit of their labor? When they are already 65. It doesn't make sense, please. So teachers, please let us not look at that direction. Please, NUT, it's not in your best interest. Please drop this idea. It doesn't make sense. Let us not, do that. We are actually worsening the situation of those that are coming after us. So please let us drop this idea. It doesn't make sense.
Yes, so we hope that all these policy formulators and implementers do take all these tips into considerations. That's all we can take on the discuss segment for today. We would like to appreciate our in-house analyst as usual, as always, for joining us on the program, Mr. OLUBUNMI KAZEEM, for the beautiful insight he has provided on today's program. We'll go on another quick break, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and right now we are taking the words on the Marble segment of Education Today, where we take a look at memorable quotes that are educational as well as inspirational to everyone. Today we've got a quote from Jim Rohn, and according to Jim, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. That's our words on the marble for today. As good as formal education is, it is important for individuals to self-educate themselves. Not everything will be taught in class, and beyond what is done in class, we need to imbibe the lessons and put them to personal practice in our daily lives beyond passing examinations. Do we have a winner? Okay. So don't forget the quiz question was mention 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. We don't have any winner. Okay, so the answer to the question is we have the United States, Britain, Russia, France, and China. So this is to inform you, our esteemed listeners, that you can advertise your products and services and as well as showcase your events in our program. This you can do by calling the number 0703 953 8998 or 0702 507 4268. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let us know how you feel about today's program through our various platforms on Facebook /Education Today, on Twitter @Education Today, no space between, on Instagram education_figure2 DAY, on YouTube Education Space Today. You can also send an email to educationmediaservices@gmail.com. Many thanks to the entire crew of Education Today and the management of Light Radio. The supervising producer has been Saeed Aremu. Do join us same time next week on this station. I remain Nima Ibrahim. See you next week and goodbye.